Hello, my fellow sugar pies. How are you today? I am doing good. I'm happy and frustrated at the same time, and let me tell you why. So, a lot of you have been hearing about this Shelee art technique, the beautiful pouring technique that looks like bloomed flowers. All right, she's a phenomenal artist. She's on YouTube. If you have never seen her, go check her out. The paintings, they're just gorgeous. They have controlled lacing and cells in certain areas. Well, the thing is that she until recently was not on YouTube, and she not all artists choose to come on YouTube and teach their techniques for free. And I don't understand why people have such an issue understanding that. Being an artist full time is a position, it's a job. It doesn't mean that that person has to share all their secrets with you. YouTube has kind of spoiled people for that aspect of it. You know, YouTube artists, they come on and they share their techniques, but once you get to a certain level of subscribers, you start earning money. Although it's not much, you do get paid from YouTube. So while you're learning for free, YouTube artist still gets paid. Not all, some. And not all earn the same amount. Let's be clear about that right now. And let's be clear about another thing. Any money that a YouTube artist earns, 90% of it goes back into supply. So it's not a rewarding position. So people that don't teach on YouTube, that are artists that have a technique that they worked years to develop, all of a sudden they decide they want to teach their technique and they teach it through online schools. Nothing wrong with that, okay? That doesn't make an artist greedy because you can't learn for free. It doesn't make them selfish. It's their way to make their living. But now, once that artist teaches that technique and it's out there, anybody that takes that course has the right to share that knowledge. Okay, the technique is not owned by that person any longer. It's out there. Okay, so now you have the people like me that took that course that want to be able to show you this technique without taking away from the artist that is teaching it. Okay, here comes the problem. The problem is that I want to show you, but I get bashed and reprimanded like a 2-year-old because I didn't show you how to do this technique, right? And then if I do show you how to do it, I get bashed by the people that paid for it. So either way, I'm screwed. So there is so much infighting going on about this technique that I am so tired of seeing that I'm just going to do it. We're going to get it out there and it's all done. All done. No more fighting. No more mean words. Although I'm sure 8 million nasty comments will be below. I will tell you right now, it doesn't bother me. Don't waste your time typing. Okay? I will say what is very hurtful, however, that a YouTube artist gives so much information over the course of their career on YouTube that it's very sad that some people, not all of you, because I know a lot of you are very grateful, that some of you find it necessary to insult a person for not giving you one technique, information on one technique. I have taught countless ideas and ways of doing things, and it's almost like that is wiped away, and I'm just greedy, I'm selfish for not showing this one thing. Now, another thing that comes across a lot is, well, I can't afford to take the class, and it's not right that I don't learn. I'm on a limited income, and I should be able to know it. Listen, I'm sorry, but if you're on a limited income, you shouldn't be buying art supplies to begin with. It's just that simple. I'm also on a limited income, believe it or not, and I buy what I can afford to buy. I saved for 2 months to pay for the course. So it's just all ridiculous. I'm just going to do this pour with you. It's going to be out there. And then hopefully all this infighting will stop. There's fighting going on in the groups. There's fighting going on YouTube. There's just all kinds of craziness, and it needs to stop. Art in general is meant to be happy, stress free. It helps me tremendously with depression. It is not mandatory in someone's life, though. It is not something that you need to live. So when somebody says to me, "You're being selfish. I'm on a limited income and I need to have this," that's just not absolute. It's not true. It's not true. When somebody says to me, "It's not right that you didn't share how this technique, how this painting was made," um it's actually, like I said, very hurtful, because it's like saying to me, "Hey Tammy, although you have taken thousands and thousands of dollars of your personal money and created all these videos for us, it doesn't matter, because this one thing I want to know, and everything you've done in the past means nothing." So it is hurtful. But like I said, I'm going to do this with you. I'm going to show you what I learned. Now, my recipe is different from the one in the class, but my results are the same. Um, my recipe, I'm going to show you how I mix things, how I blow it, how I move it. If you don't understand after this video, I cannot help you any further, because there are things that you learn in the class that you need to see done by the original creator. So I'm doing my art my way by using the things that I learned in that class. Okay? I love you all. Please be nice to each other. Stop bullying other artists that are showing this technique but don't want to release the ingredients because they feel it's disrespectful to the original creator, or they feel that they paid for the course and they shouldn't have to share every single little thing with YouTube land. I'm doing it because I want to be able to do it on my channel, and I love it. It's a beautiful technique. So I hope you all enjoy. Here we go. So to start off, I want to mention doing this technique is very expensive. So it required of a lot of people, a lot of different products, time. It's just a very in-depth type of a technique. So if you don't have money, this is not the technique for you. I will tell you that. It's costly. So what you want to do is you want to use a house paint for your white. What I am using is a semi-gloss wall paint. Any brand is fine. Semi-gloss. You put down a really thick puddle of it in the center, and then you just let it sit to the side. Okay? I have here my white paint that I have in a big tub. Okay? I let it sit in the tub so that I don't have to use that big old can that it comes in. So I take a ladle. Don't even know if I'm on screen, but you don't need to see me ladling paint out. And we put it right in the center. No water, no nothing. Straight paint from a can. Semi-gloss. Put your listening ears on, because I'm not going to answer any comments. Like I said, if you are confused or don't understand, I'm not teaching somebody else's course in depth. I'm just showing you what I learned. So now we have the paint in the center. You're going to get a lot of these bigger air bubbles. So just take a little toothpick and pop them. Just like so. Okay, and then we're going to sit it to the side while we mix our other products together. So now, what you're going to need is an untinted house paint. So what I use is Glidden or Sherwin-Williams High Gloss Ultra Deep Base. I'll show you the can. Okay. This is what we are going to use to mix up our colors. You have to mix your colors with something for acrylic pouring. So you either use a Flowchart or whatever, but for this technique, we use this. Or Glidden brand semi-gloss deep base. So what you're going to do is you're going to take some of that, which I have conveniently in another container, and you are going to pour it. Hold on one second. A little piece of dry paint flew in there. You're going to pour some in a cup. Now, I don't use measurements, but I will for this purpose. So I'm putting in 3 ounces of that paint. Now, if you pay to take the course itself, there's a lot more that she goes into depth, you know, with the different bases and stuff. And you do get a lot out of the class that you're not going to get out of me, because I'm just not teaching her course. I'm teaching you the way I do it. So I put in 3 ounces of that, and then I put in 1 ounce of polycrylic. Polycrylic is this stuff right here. Clear gloss, water-based by Minwax, polycrylic. So here is 1 ounce of that. Now already, my recipe is totally different from hers, but it works. So now you mix that together. And now what we have is our pouring medium. Okay? So now you can take some of this and put it into little cups and add your color to it. What I've been using is fluid colors. So I've been using paints like these, fluid golden colors, or I've been using things like primary elements, which are absolutely gorgeous in this technique. So pretty. So I'm going to show you how to mix up these and the paints. The paints you can mix right into that base. The dry powders you need to dissolve first before you mix it into that base. Let's do a pigment first, which is a dry powder. So for that, what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of the powder in a cup. This is peacock feather. This technique comes out the best when you use these primary elements. They're just gorgeous. So I put some powder in the cup. Now, the important thing to know is that you don't need a lot of each color. A little goes a long way, because you're only going to be doing little dots of color in the painting. So I take the polycrylic again that I added to my base here, and I just squirt a little bit into the cup with the pigments to get them to dissolve. Because if you try to mix it into this base directly, some of it will dissolve, but you'll have grainy looking things for your painting. So you have to dissolve it first and then add it to that pouring medium that we just made. So now it's all dissolved. Just a liquid now. So now what I could do is I could take my base and pour a little bit in the cup. You don't need a lot. So I would say I'm putting in about, a teaspoon worth of the pouring medium. And now this color is totally ready to pour. Okay, I will show you the consistency of it. It's thick but runny. Pretty peacock feather. Okay, so that color is done. Now I want to use my fluid colors. And yes, you can use all types of paints. If you use a tube paint, like a Liquitex brand, or something that's a medium to heavy body, you're going to have to use some of this to thin it down a little bit before you put it into this, because it'll be too thick. Or you can add a little bit of water, a few drops, to thin it down. The end result should be that all of your colors are the same consistency. So now what I'm going to do is make my other colors. I'm going to pour about a tablespoon of pouring medium that I made into each cup. I'm going to first take my cadmium red, and I'm going to put in about a half a teaspoon of color. I'm going to mix it up. If it's not dark enough, I'll add a little bit more at a time. But that is perfect. This that I just put in is perfect. So I had a tablespoon of pouring medium to half a teaspoon of paint. Okay? Thick but runny. So that's done. Next, we will do ultramarine blue. And let's add a couple more drops to that one. All done. Okay? So now I'm going to mix up the other two colors, which are the paint gray and phthalo green. And then we'll be right back. So now there's one last step to this before we can pour. We need to make a cup of white that has Floetrol in it. And what that white does is it creates the blooms, the cells. So for that, you want to use Floetrol. So it's about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons worth of Floetrol. You don't need much. Okay, a little bit there. So maybe like an ounce of Floetrol. And some white acrylic paint. Now, another perk of taking the class, a major perk, is that there's a private Facebook group that you can enter into, and there's all types of folks in there that are discussing what whites work with for them with their products, because all of these products work for me. If you change up one ingredient, it may not work for you. It's just a very complicated technique. So that's why it is important to take that class. Yeah, so I'm using Amsterdam white acrylic paint. You can try Blick. You could try Artist Loft. You could try any type of acrylic white paint, okay? But here's the thing. You need about a half a teaspoon for that 1 ounce of Floetrol. And again, this is not the exact recipe that was taught in the class. It's just what I've come up with to make it work for me. It's what I've come up with to make cells without using silicone and having to deal with silicone. That's the major plus for me when it comes to this technique, is you get those big, beautiful cells in controlled areas, and it is not done with silicone. And the paints do not have a ton of Floetrol and all that in them. So there's that. Now, you may have seen my other video called the Yankee Pour, where I did something very similar using vivid enamel instead of house paint. That also works. So if you go check that video out, I will link it at the end of this video. This also works instead of doing this, okay? And this is sold by Color Art. So I have a coupon code. They sell this, and they sell the dry pigment that I just used. And I have a coupon code below for 25% off your order. No minimum. All right, so now we're ready to pour. That's it. That's the big secret that everybody's going nuts and fighting over. Well, is it the secret, though? Because it's not really her recipe. But that's how you do it, okay? So let me just get a couple of thingy-mabobs here to hold up this canvas. And we're going to jump right in head first. I'm telling you guys, you that are grateful for this, I'm going to get twice as many hateful comments for showing it. But I'm just over it. I really am. I'm just over it. I just want it to end. So, now, I torch. You're not really supposed to torch, but I do because these little bubbles drive me nuts. So, I torch them. They're gone. And it has not caused any problems for me with my paintings. And I can show you a couple that I've made that are absolutely gorgeous. So now you want to pile your paints up, right? So let's see. We have all these pretty colors, but some are transparent, meaning you can see through them, and some are not. So I have to be careful how I layer them, or else I will have a mess on my hands. So I'm going to put a transparent, which is the primary element color, on the bottom. I'm going to make a couple of little puddles. We'll blow them all around. I want to go back and make these a little bit bigger. Okay, so there's that. Let's do the blue on top. I gotta get moving here. I'm taking too long. Then we have the red. Payne's gray. And phthalo green. Now we take some of that white we made with the Floetrol. And then we blow our puddles out with our mouths. Whoopsie. Okay. See all the pretty little blooms? You're going to let it sit for a minute so that the paint where you blew, it sinks down to the canvas. You got to wait for it to rise before you can start stretching it. So just tap underneath. Now you don't have to do 5 puddles. You could just do 1 and move it around. Oh, I cannot stand these little painter's pyramids for canvases, but they were the closest thing around. What I'm going to do now is take some of my white house paint that has nothing in it. And I'm going to add a little bit more to the canvas to help this when I stretch it. I have something in my paint. So you can see how this can be expensive because this is a lot of paint. But it is what it is. If you want to do the technique, you got to pay. You cannot do this on regular acrylic paint just dumped onto a canvas. Well, you could try it, but I don't think it's going to work as good. So I'm just spreading this out. If you try this, I highly suggest you try it out on a smaller canvas than what I'm using. You can also take these, now that I swiped a little color out there, you could take these if you wanted to and kind of go through like this. Kind of create some different pattern when you tilt it. There's all kinds of things you could do. Okay. So now I'm going to do myself a favor, put on some gloves. We're going to tilt it and the video is done. I'm going to say a big old fat happy pouring and adios. Because it's been one of those days already. Okay, here we go. So now you just got to tilt it around until you get an image that you like. You have to get some of this paint off though. That's a given. As nice as it would be to keep it all on there, you can't. I find that stretching is a lot easier on a round surface with this. Now, my house paint was a little bit thick. I could have probably thinned it a little bit with water, but I didn't. Come on, it moves slow, but it does move. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I'll give you guys a close-up. Before I give you a close-up, I will show you a couple of others that I did that are already resined and up for sale. So there's that one that comes with this matching one. Okay, and then here's another one. I mean, I've done probably close to 50 of them already. I'm just showing you a few. Or trying to show you a few. The light is going to reflect off of the resin. So anyway, please, if you're interested in this technique and you feel you need help, go check out the course. I will link it below. You really do learn a lot more in there, and it's totally worth it. My cells, I stretched them a little wonky, but I was rushing because of the time on the video. So there you have it. I hope you guys all have an amazing day and happy pouring.